Let's dive in. And you know what? I saw this in the chat and I wanted to bring it up, is that it wasn't a combination, right? Because as trucked as the Lions got and embarrassed as they got, guys, I got the numbers right here. You gave up 320 yards on the ground. You gave up 250 in the air to Sam Darnold, who at times looked like that high draft pick that he went. He looked like a world beater at times. But you gave up 570 yards. Terry, I'm going to say two names, and you tell me what college they played for, right? Dante Foreman and Chubba Hubbard. Do you know? Do you know those names?
Probably Coastal Carolina.
Do you know those names? I'm just bringing it up because, one of them ran for 165 and the other one ran for 125.
Hey, here's the surprising part to me. They shut down Saquon Barkley and in the cold.
Dalvin Cook,
but that was in the warmth.
Okay.
But the thing that surprised me about the Lions is I thought they played soft. They didn't want to hit. And even some of the Carolina players said that it's tough to hit people in the cold. It hurts to hit people in the cold, especially our backs. But their backs are like nobody's. So I was surprised by the way they lost, not that they did lose.
Well, if you watched that game and you were dialed in like I'm sure everybody else was that first play of the game, did anybody else like not only go, oh crap, but it was like it showed what the rest of the game was going to be like.
Right, it wasn't the first play for me, it was the second. Because I know you give up gash plays. When they gave up the second one, almost immediately, I'm like, they're in trouble.
So Terry, is this more so that this team has figured out a way, and obviously offense, like where, if you look at this game, what's the number one glaring reason that they lost? Because they played soft and obviously couldn't do the run, but is it more weather-based? Is this a team?
It shouldn't be, because they played the Jets in weather. They have to play Green Bay in weather. And I'm sure they're not going to get mollywopped like they did in Carolina. But, it could be just as simple as one team wanted it more than the other. And then in sports, sometimes you do read your press clippings or you hear what people are saying about you and you let up a little bit. In the NFL, you can't let up 2% because all these teams are even. The Lions in Carolina should have been like a 27-24 game where it's back and forth and you never know who's going to win until the end. And but this time it was like the Lions, they weren't the Lions of the last 5 or 6 weeks. And with the way Dan Campbell's run things and knowing the way these guys play, I never expected to look at a game and say, you know what, the Lions were soft. Because even when they weren't good, they weren't soft. I mean, they fight your ass right tooth and nail and then lose.
Like it was apparent that we could say right here that you got punched in the face on both sides of the ball. You look at not only that, but this offensive line that's supposed to be the monsters and stuff like this. What did we have running? Zero. Like nothing compared to what we've done before. Was it the ineptitude of the offense? Was it the fact that the defense couldn't stop anybody? Was it the fact of how important it is to win that turnover battle? You got to play. I think, Terry, what you're telling everybody is so true, is that these guys don't have any room for error. Correct. Right, to lay off the gas, right? What did that game look like? That looked like them playing more of, if that was a Kansas City game or something, they sort of, the better teams, the San Fran's, they find a way out of it. But to your point, exactly, is they got punched in the face. Mm-hmm. Like embarrassed.
And again, and again, and again, and again. And they didn't really respond.
No. What was what aspect of the game, if you're Dan Campbell, going into this week, because obviously a must win, and I think as a Lions fan, we're more comfortable because they're coming back at home. We know that the offense operates better at home, right? But what's the message that you're getting across to your team?
The message is across the board. All of the above Dan Campbell and the whole coaching staff needs to break down and revamp every position group, because every position group got embarrassed. This is not an offensive thing. It's not a defensive thing. It's everything happened with them. And but you can't overreact, though, because this is my philosophy about sports. Each game is an individual chapter. There's no carryover. So what you do is you take care of your business. You handle things in the room and reposition your team mentally. Because what I saw was this, you know what, guys, we don't really want to be here. We're here. But that's what I saw.
Isn't it the part of growing, though? So would you say that game is more to the immaturity and the growth of some of the younger guys when it comes down to it? I mean, obviously, Hutchinson's getting a lot of heat because, they really keyed in on him and he wasn't a factor in the game. Sam, I go to you. What was your biggest takeaway as far as, the Lions? For moving forward, what message that is the most important message that they get going into for the Chicago game this week?
I mean, unfortunately, my biggest takeaway is that I'm still very excited with how they've progressed, going from 3 wins to 7 with a chance at 9, with the improvement of guys like Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown from good rookies to stars, with guys like Aiden Hutchinson, Kirby Joseph, James Houston, and Malcolm Rodriguez looking like they were hits in the draft. I'm very, very happy about all that. But the Lions did the one thing that they could possibly do to get me kind of pissed off again. They gave up the franchise record for the Carolina Panthers for rushing yards in a game. These aren't the Cam Newton, Jonathan Stewart Carolina Panthers. These aren't the D'Angelo Williams Carolina Panthers. These aren't the Christian McCaffrey Carolina Panthers. They gave up 320 rushing yards basically to Deontay Foreman, Chuba Hubbard, and Raheem Blackshear. That is unacceptable on so many levels. They got punched in the mouth. They got punked. They got their manhood taken from them. And that's one of those games where how can it not be a wake-up call? They had everything that they wanted right in front of them to possibly control their own destiny, run the table, get into the playoffs, and they blew that opportunity. Obviously, it's not over yet, but that's the type of performance that it takes away a lot of the goodwill for me that I had gained from them going 6-1. It's not all gone. That 6-1 stretch was very impressive, but that was just one of the worst performances I've ever seen by a Lions team.
What about you, Spence?
Yeah, it's tough. I'm not there yet. I still think there's a lot going on, and games like this in the NFL happen. It's hard to win NFL games. It's hard to win 9 out of 10 games, which is what the Lions were trying to do. You're going to get punched in the mouth every now and then, but you didn't expect it because, like Terry said, you shut down a guy like Saquon Barkley. You shut down a guy like Dalvin Cook. And then these guys go out there and they run all over you. So it's tough. It's tough to see a lack of adjustments when you're being destroyed and dismantled in the first half. It's tough to see your defense really not looking like it's there. It looks like they didn't get off the bus, So hopefully they'll come back. Hopefully they still have a chance if they win these last 2 games and one of the Commanders or the Seahawks lose a game, they can make it happen. But man, they had a golden opportunity with all of those other teams losing to kind of push themselves forward, and it just didn't happen.
Right,
and maybe it was unrealistic of a lot of Lion fans to expect this team to win 9 out of 10 games. Remember, they were 3-13-1 last year. They were 1-6. You just don't win 9 out of 10 games. Something is going to happen along the way. And so I know people are disappointed, but this is the NFL where when you go out and play, basically these games are a coin flip. This was not a coin flip. The Lions were not prepared. And I don't know if you blame Dan Campbell. I don't know if you blame the atmosphere. But they were not prepared, and they were not mentally tough enough to overcome Carolina. Carolina's like, are we here to take care of business? They're at home. I know it's the coldest. It was cold for them too. They don't like the cold. But like I said, if you're 2% off in the NFL, you can get your ass kicked.
You know what the beauty is, though, with this Lions team, with Dan Campbell and stuff like this. even with this year, is that what was the other game that we really disappointing or whatever in New England? Which was the other one. I look for them to bounce back. Is it fair to say the disappointment that we had coming out of Thanksgiving in a different way? But now this one is more when you're looking in, because this is a sign of a good team too. When you can look in and go, you caused that. That's your own fault, not what the other team did to you, what you did to yourself and not being able. Now, give Carolina their flowers for having the great game plan, coming in and knowing that they needed it because they're also in a playoff hunt. But it's, to me, in the long run, this can be a great learning experience. We can learn back to it. And just like I saw, really, it didn't ruin my Saturday, right? Until the Rams won. Until the Rams won. It was just sort of the combination, but that's the way it's going to be.